Good evening and welcome to the June 17th fire briefing for the Cap Canyon and Hermits Peak fires. My name is Celeste Prescott, a Public Information Officer with Southwest Incident Management Team 1. And Southwest Team 1 is managing the north zone of the fire. The south zone of the fire is being managed by Southwest Incident Management Team 5. I want to update some numbers for you for those who cannot see the ticker on the bottom of the screen. We are currently at 341,314 acres, still at 72% contained, with 2,442 personnel currently assigned. I'm going to go ahead and start off this evening's meeting with Southwest Incident Management Team Incident Commander Carl SCHWOPE.
Well, good evening. Carl SCHWOPE, IC here on the North Zone, and we are definitely grateful for the moderated fire weather conditions. And as you'll hear tonight, that these moderated conditions are going to stick with us for a while. With that comes a chance of measurable rainfall, and then of course a chance of flash flooding and even dangerous debris flows with that. And so you're going to hear that being messaged tonight and for some time in the future, as long as these thunderstorms stick around. And it's important to pay attention to that because some of these debris flows will be quite dangerous. And probably the best way to mitigate that is to just not be around when they happen. And even though we do have the thunderstorms in the forecast, I do want you to know that we are still moving forward with perimeter control, making sure our primary lines are effective and valid. We're going to continue with the contingency lines. We know that even though there's rain, that this fire, there's a lot of fuel on this fire, and the fire may outlast the rain. So we'll still continue with the contingency lines and looking for more options and more places to put contingency lines. And we're also going to stay moving forward with suppression repair. And so with that, I'll turn it back to you, Celeste.
Thank you very much, Carl. We appreciate that. And as he explained, we are moving into a little different part of this fire, and that debris flow information is all in this Facebook page, as well as there's some great stuff on our YouTube page. And now I'm going to bring up Southwest Incident Management Team 1 Operations Section Chief Jason Coyle to go over the operations in the North Zone.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So it's been an interesting day. It's been a good day for the North Zone. So I just give you a little bit of the environment that we've shifted from since the last time that we had a public meeting. So the fire grew about 15,000 acres in 3 days. And at the end of that growth, there was models showing that it was going to reach Hickory to Peak in another 3 days. So that was the environment we started with. And then we got some good precipitation. Not a lot of precipitation over the fire, but definitely moderating precipitation. And now we're working to shift our focus to that flooding and debris flows. And I'll explain to you some of the things that we're doing to shift that focus while, as Carl stated, continuing to work on our other projects. So today's focus was we're working to provide direction and clear priorities that'll be used to guide all of those separate actions, and then develop and then execute on the plans necessary for those actions, and then also monitor the progress and develop timelines and identify and correct processes and our own organizational and individual weaknesses, bolster those up where necessary to make sure that we be effective. And one of those things about the organizational process is when I go to the map, I'll be able to show you where the zone break is moved to. And that's just one of the many ways that we're working to gain efficiency. So what are we doing? We're continuing to work on the contingency lines, continuous suppression repair, and we also stood up a rapid response task force with people with expertise in swiftwater rescue, along with equipment to assist, if necessary, in being able to help gain access to areas where the public may be impacted, where we all may be impacted, and also if there's a place where we're working and something unanticipated happens that impacts some of our resources. So as we're going through this, the tricky part of this whole process is making sure that we're considerate of the other functions that support us in operations. So this is my opportunity to give them kind of a shout out, if you will. And I'm reminded of a picture I saw in France on the beaches of Normandy of all these gas cans. And I can't even describe to you how many gas cans it was. The whole picture was full of gas cans. And something that happens on those incidents is we forget to bring the gas cans back. And then, believe it or not, just like they ran out of in Normandy, we can run out of gas cans. And that's one simple example of all the different things that we were looking at today to make sure that we were doing what we needed to do as we go through this adjustment to make sure the rest of the team can support us. There's something they call the tooth to tail ratio, and the teeth are the people out there doing the work, and the tail is everything that drives it. Tail's critical. And so as we go through and improve these processes, it's just not about taking care of the other people that are working with us so they can take care of us, but it's really making sure that we can be more efficient so that we can take care of the problem. So we're going to continue to remain focused on coordinated and effective response. We're going to be prepared to respond in new ways to new missions as we gain capacity by becoming more effective at the things that we're doing right now. And then we're going to ensure that we coordinate on the impacts and the capabilities of that we need to be able to maintain that capacity, whether it be logistics, planning, finance, people that make these cool maps, all that. So with that, I got to get my antlers, sorry. All right, there you go, I'm back. So orient you first on that zone break line that I talked about. So the zone break used to kind of go up here. So the zone break just defines the areas where each team is responsible for working. But it also lines up with the areas where our aircraft are allowed to work. So what we recognize is that as this fire down in the south zone got closer to one of these potential breach points where timber goes up near or is near the ridge on both sides, and this is the middle fork of the Santa Barbara here, that it made more sense to have us responsible for that entire area. And so that's what we coordinated today, and that's a change that took place. And it also makes more sense because you have the Borrego and the Jicarita fire out in this area. And as we move down and we go and improve these lines that tie back into them, those are all accessed from the north. So we want to, it makes a lot more sense for us to take care of those portions of the lines that tie back into us that are accessed from the north than it does for the team in the southern zone to try to go all the way around and access them. So those are the changes that took place with the map and with the areas of responsibility. Continue to work on the contingency lines today on the southern zone. Our south contingency line, still the north zone, and also on the northern contingency line up here to the top. Also, you're seeing a lot more green on the map as we're continuing to work on all of that suppression repair effort, and it's getting closer and closer to it's moving to the southern end as each day passes. And the same thing's happening over here on the 434 corridor south of Guadalupita, and also coming up past the fish hatchery to the north from the Mora area. So that work's going on, and in addition to that is making sure that we have that rapid response task force ready and stood up to be able to assist, and working on getting them the necessary awareness, if you will, for the personnel that aren't normally involved in those types of events, to make sure that they are ready to respond and can do so safely and know the limits of what it is that they should be doing and that we expect them to do. And we will continue to monitor this fire closely, look for opportunities to ensure that it doesn't cross over that ridge system if that becomes necessary. And with that, the end of your operational update. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. We appreciate your detailed update once again. Now we're going to turn it down to our partners in the South Zone for Southwest Area Incident Management Team 5, Operations Section Chief Marcus Cornwell.
Team 5. The big stories, Jason mentioned it. We had about 15,000 acres growth since our last public meeting a few nights ago. And then the rain that's come in and the higher humidities and what that's done to our fire and some of our future planning. So I'll begin with some suppression repair. You can see a lot of green on our map, and that's all completed line. We have about 278 miles of dozer line on the south end. We've completed and inspected about 114 miles. 26 miles that has no need for repair, so we're sitting right at 50% completion for our dozer repair here on the south end, making a lot of good progress and moving our way back into the west side of the fire. As we move north, we have crews that still maintain are working in our Highway 63 corridor, keeping an eye on this fire for the last few days. We did not see much growth in this Bear Creek area. And this would be our future contingency line should we need to implement that, but didn't see the growth there. But we still have crews in there doing a little repair and keeping eyes on those values. We saw the primary growth up here in the northern part of the wilderness. Really steep, rugged ground, deep canyons, really thick fuel loading with a ton of deadened down material on the ground and a lot of standing dead trees for so difficult terrain to insert firefighters. So really our strategy up here is a confine contain. As Jason talked about, there's a high, where we moved the zone break, there's essentially a high mountain ridge that kind of contains this whole upper bowl of the upper Pecos drainage. So we have crews in here monitoring Beatty's cabin, which is our main value at risk besides the upper watershed in here, ready to implement any structure protection plan we need to do in there. And then coming south, we were able to hold the Hamilton Mesa Trail to protect our values down here in the south. And with this fire crossing the Pecos River, it really was our trigger to begin broadening the strategic plan out here to the western part of the Pecos Wilderness, really adding on to what Team 2 had built. So we've started to develop new action points out here to the west and what that means for some of the values on the west side of the wilderness. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that detailed overview. We really appreciate it, Marcus. Now we're going to turn it over to Incident Meteorologist Sam Weber.
Hello, everyone. My name's Sam Weber. I'm an Incident Meteorologist trainee here on the South Zone, working with Team 5 here. So since we last talked, we have seen quite a bit of change in the weather. We've been under a really warm, really dry... Everything okay? Okay, all right, my apologies. We saw a transition from really dry to really moist weather with a changing kind of monsoon-like pattern. So I just want to bring over here to this, this radar loop that shows our radar really from yesterday morning into the overnight period where we saw a lot of heavy rain over the fire, and then even into today where we started to see some more isolated and scattered showers across the area. So here we go. Yesterday you see this little blip come up, and we had a near stationary storm that kind of sat over the Pecos River Valley and dropped quite a bit of rain in there, really beneficial amounts, really helped our humidities come up overnight. Then we went into today, we had more showers develop over the area, but not quite bringing as much rain as we saw yesterday. But still, our humidities were well up today. We did bottom out around the 20% range, but that's okay because it quickly shot up as soon as those showers came in, the cloud cover came overhead. So if we'll go on to this next slide here, this is a look at our precipitation analysis across the Pecos River drainage. And what you can see, so the contouring in the colors is what the radar thinks we picked up in terms of precipitation amounts. These numbers that I have plotted here are our incident RAWS stations that we have, those remote weather stations. And we can see anywhere from 0.2 to 1/2 of an inch of water fell across our rain gauges that we have out on the fire. So a pretty substantial wetting rain that we saw across, even up where we have active fire that was making that really big push the last few days. We saw 0.4 of rainfall. So really welcoming to see that. This red area that you see here, this blotch, that's where some of the heavier storms sat for most of the day. However, that might be a little bit of hail contamination in the radar algorithm, but still significant amount of rain fell over really the Pecos River drainage itself. So it really helped to fill in a lot of moisture up where that fire is going on. And again, this morning we saw anywhere from 90 to 100% recoveries in the humidity to really tamper things down. So that's kind of where we've been at since we last spoke, and I just want to show now where we're at in this next graphic here. And this is a satellite view of water vapor imagery of the region. And so basically the way you read this is oranges here over western Arizona, and more of these yellows that you see over Texas are some of the more dry conditions in the atmosphere, and these deeper shades of blue and green are really moist conditions in the atmosphere. And so with that changing weather pattern that we had over the last few days, we've been drawing moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico up into our area. You can kind of see this arc riding up along western Mexico and up into the southwest in New Mexico and Arizona, and that is what's been giving us all this shower activity over the last few days. Pattern that is really, it's the monsoon, that's what it is. So if we go forward here, this is kind of what our weather models are showing us, and where we're going, at least through the next several days here, is that position of that high pressure off to our east, drawing in a clockwise rotation around there, pulling moist air out of the Gulf of Mexico. And also we have this storm system that's going to be pushing into the Great Basin region, which is also going to promote a flow pattern that pulls moisture out of the Gulf of California. So with both of those things going on here, we've got a lot of moisture coming into the southwest, which is really going to promote chances for some really heavy precipitation, increasing our flash flood risk day after day. So the way that this is going to evolve is we'll start to see this storm system move up across the Great Basin and even lift out into the northern Rockies, which is going to push more of this moisture that's confined over Arizona and western New Mexico back into our area, while adding a little bit of energy from this system as we head into next week, which is really going to increase our chance for seeing some pretty significant rainfall over the fire. So we'll go in next here, and I just want to talk about how this weather pattern may evolve, because we've talked about the monsoon and how things ebb and flow as we move through the season. And so this is what our long-term weather models, a whole bunch of them combined together, and kind of giving you an average of where this pressure system is located. So they do show some indication of this high pressure center moving back further west by next weekend, which would effectively cut off our transportation of moisture into New Mexico, but still keep some of it to our west over Arizona and even parts of southern Utah. So what we don't know exactly is a big driver in this will be this kind of offshore storm system on average that, if this thing shifts, if this area of storms kind of shifts further east, this is going to push this high pressure back to the east, and we'll see moisture come up again. But again, if we move into more of this type pattern, we're going to see more hot, more dry conditions over the fire. Potentially not as much wind, which is really good, but still keeping those hot and dry conditions. So we'll keep on monitoring that here as we head into next week, and we can see some more agreement with our weather models. So I want to go next here and just talk about real quick our precipitation forecast over the next few days. I mentioned how we're going to see some of that moisture focus over western New Mexico and Arizona, and that's what we're going to see tomorrow. A lot of that moisture that we've been seeing today and the day before is going to push a little further to our west, so we'll be kind of right on the fringe here of some of the best moisture to see showers and thunderstorms. I still think we could see a couple storms in the area tomorrow, but not having the real big potential to create heavy rainfall and a huge flash flood threat. But as we head into Sunday and Monday, I mentioned that storm system over the Great Basin kind of moving to the east and lifting north over the northern Rockies, and that's going to push that moisture back over our area and increase our chances for heavier rainfall each day. So you'll see these darker shades of green keep on moving over to our east. So right here on Sunday, we're looking at an average of anywhere from a 1/10 to a 1/4 inch of precipitation. By Monday, looking even further up at a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of precipitation. And this is just on average. Remember, this monsoon type weather is either hit or miss. If you get a storm right over an area, you could see up to 1/2 inch or more, 3/4, up to even an inch if that storm maintains itself right over an area. But another area just to the east might not even see a raindrop at all. So that's going to be the big thing to look out for in the next few days. And then as we head, this graphic on the right is kind of our combined estimated precipitation that we're expecting from day 1 here being Saturday through next Thursday. You can see we're starting to jump into this blue category here, which is anywhere from 1/2 of an inch to even 1.5 inches in the southern Sangre de Cristo Mountains. So could see some pretty significant precipitation on the way as we start to mix more energy into this moist weather pattern that we have setting up. So we'll go on to the next graphic here, and this is a product that is produced by the Albuquerque National Weather Service. This is available daily on their website, weather.gov/ABQ, and it shows thunderstorm threats for each burn scar across New Mexico right now. So high being that red category, being 60% or greater. So today we had a pretty high chance at seeing some thunderstorm activity over the area, and we did, but it wasn't as substantial as we were thinking. But tomorrow we'll see a big decrease in that to slight, which is that 10 to 30%. And then Sunday through Tuesday, again, as that storm system starts to move out of the area, we start to see those high chances of thunderstorm threats over the area. So if you don't have a lot of time to look up the weather, this is a really good idea. Gives you a really good idea of what to expect over the next 5 days. So lastly here, we'll just jump into our fire weather matrix that we provide around camp here, just to provide some situational awareness for everyone here. And when we were showing this last, we were seeing a little bit of red left over with green on the way, and now we are green throughout with just a little bit of yellow sprinkled here and there. So really looking at very moderated fire weather conditions over the next 5 days, 6 days or so, with cooler temperatures each and every day, chance for showers and thunderstorms, more cloud cover, higher humidities that are really going to help keep those fire conditions under control. Again, as we move into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, you'll see our chances for wedding rains and lightnings stick out the most there. So that's where we're looking at our biggest potential for any flash flood threats in the area. So with those flash flood threats, I just want to reiterate that set up your phone for those emergency alerts, have the information available, and have a plan before water starts rising. We start seeing these heavy rains over the area. So with that, I will end the weather update. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. And for those that do not know, Sam is one of 3 incident meteorologists that are currently working around the fire. One of the other incident meteorologists that's working here on the North Zone did a detailed video this afternoon about flash floods and explaining how those happen. So if you're interested in checking that out after this, it is on our Facebook page as well as on YouTube. Now I'm going to turn it over to our fire behavior analyst, Stuart Turner.
Good evening. My name's Stuart Turner. I'm the fire behavior analyst for the Southwest Team 1 here on the North Zone. As the fire behavior analyst, what I do is I predict what the fire is going to do, how big it's going to grow, how fast it's going to get there. And I'm looking at 3 things on the fire. Look at the weather. You just heard Sam give us a great detailed report on the weather and the upcoming weather. I look at the topography out there, the mountains, the hills, the valleys, that type of thing. And then I also look at the fuels. How dry are they? How moist are they? So as you heard from Sam, the incident meteorologist, we have that moisture in place. And as we all know, that moisture is great for fire because it helps put it out. But how does that do that? And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight, is what we're seeing out there, why we still see smoldering fire behavior, and more importantly, why this is not moving anymore. Forest fires will move on the small fuels. We call them the 1 hour or the fine dead fuels. Those are the leaves, the pine needles, the twigs under 1/4 inch. That's what drives a forest fire, those really small fuels. As they dry out, the forest fire rages. As they moisten, the fire behavior starts to die down. And we're in that moistening effect right now. It only takes a couple hours for those fuels to moisten up. So a little bit of rain goes a long ways, and that's what we're seeing out there. Those areas that receive the precipitation really moistened up those fine dead fuels and stopped the spread of the fire. Areas that didn't see the precipitation are seeing the heavy or higher humidities. That high humidity is absorbed by those fine dead fuels, once again, just a few hours, and that slows the growth down on the fire. But we still see smoldering out there because the larger fuels, the bigger fuels, what we call 1,000-hour fuels, and those are about the size of a 4x4 post, those absorb or give off moisture very slowly. And right now, those 1,000-hour fuels out there are sitting at 7%. even though we got rain on them, they are still at 7% because it takes many, not hours, but days for those to absorb that moisture, whether it's direct rainfall or through humidity. So those fuels are still dry, and they will continue to smolder out there and hold that fire. That's why we're concerned about maybe drying out next week, because those larger fuels will still have fire in them, and they'll be ready to ignite those fine dead fuels when they dry out, or if they do dry out in the future. So let's take a look at the fire and what I think is going to happen tomorrow. So we're still going to get some precipitation. We're going to get those higher humidities. More importantly, we're going to get those higher humidities through the night. So as the sun goes away, those fine dead fuels will continue to absorb moisture all through the night, and then that delays the burn period even more tomorrow. And then if we get more high humidity, then it keeps that fuel moisture up, and we don't see the fire spreading. So most all the north and south is just going to see smoldering fire behavior, if it sees any fire behavior at all. Many areas that is completely burned out and we're not seeing any. Most of that's going to be well interior and not going to be a threat to the line. I don't expect any perimeter growth tomorrow or over the next several days. Now, the key area that we saw the big growth in the last couple of days, where we're seeing all the smoke from, is there on the Hamilton Mesa area. And that made the big run over the last couple of days, as you heard from operations and some other people. That got parked yesterday because it received that almost a half-inch of rainfall. So that really moistened up those fine dead fuels, took them out of play, and now it's just sitting there. However, those larger fuels are still dry. So those are still smoldering in there. We're going to continue to see that because there's a lot of big dead pieces of fuel out there. And those will smolder for many, many days, if not weeks, until they're either consumed or they get put out by more and more rain or snowfall this coming winter. I'm not expecting any growth coming out of that tomorrow or the next few days, because that humidity will stay up, keeping those fine dead fuels out and not allowing them to move around. So that's kind of a quick and dirty lesson on fuels and fire behavior and how that moisture affects them. So no perimeter growth, continue with the smoldering and creeping. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stuart. And I just want to pass on, there's folks online that we're welcoming you back. Happy to have you. All right, now we're going to turn it over to Congressional Affairs Manager for FEMA, Aisha Flores-Cruz.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aisha Flores from FEMA External Affairs. Thank you for having us today in this meeting. On behalf of the Governor's Office and the New Mexico Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, we would like to encourage residents to listen to local officials and news outlets for safety messages regarding the inclement weather this weekend. If you are told to evacuate or find high ground, do so immediately. The threat of flooding is greater this year for residents in areas affected by the ongoing wildfires, as the burn scars can create dangerous flash floods and mudslides. Even a distant rainstorm can quickly flood your location. We also encourage residents to prepare now for emergencies, create a plan, build an emergency kit, have medicines and important documents on hand, and know your evacuation route. For more information, please call the state's Fire Resource Hotline at 800-432-2080. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Aisha. We appreciate that. We're going to turn it back down to our partners at the South for San Miguel County Sheriff Chris Lopez.
And thank you, Ms. Prescott. So I'd first like to start with our Ready, Set, Go evacuation statuses. I know I discussed with you all day before yesterday about taking off most of our areas that were in Ready, which is the beginning stages of the Ready, Set, Go evacuation program that we have for fire. And as you can see on the map, if you're continuing to check that, that has all been removed. We wanted to make sure that we didn't create any confusion in terms of what if that and flooding evacuations. And so just really be cognizant that we'll be messaging any of that information out in terms of flooding evacuations. And with the Ready, Set, Go, we still do have those areas in the Upper Pecos Canyon, the Iron Gate community, that is still a go status. As you were hearing the operational updates, we are going to have some moisture, but we're still going to be dealing with that for the next several days to see if they are going to be able to hold that, or if they are in fact going to have to fire off that corner that they've been talking about. Where's it at? I believe it's this corner right here, which is right in that path. And so we continue to discuss that with the team. And I just want people to know, just to continue to be patient with us. We'll continue to have those conversations. Also, what we have done in the past, and of course it's completely up to operations, is escorts, so people can go in and do whatever they need to do for a few minutes and take care of business in that Iron Gate community. What our policy has been on that is if you call into the sheriff's office, make that request, we'll go ahead and work with our liaisons who will work with operations to see to deem whether it's safe to do so or within the parameters for whatever they're doing in that operational period, and then we could go from there. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I know you have been out for a while, and I understand the frustration. I have been getting a few calls, and so if you call to the sheriff's office and kind of let us know what those needs might be, we can maybe work on accommodating that for you. So just the piece of advice, and we've had to do that over the course of this fire in a few other areas, as we have had people out for several weeks, up to a month in some areas. And so I appreciate the patience in that. And as we continue now, of course, I've been reporting very heavily about the fire impacts and the potential of flooding, and how we're preparing for that. And well, we are officially in monsoon season now, so I know we've been really working hard to get prepared for that in a very short time. So there's been a lot of effort, a lot of work on behalf of several agencies, from the local level to the state level and also into our federal level. There's been a lot of interaction, a lot of collaboration, a lot of planning, and we've gotten ready as best as we can for now. We're not going to stop. We're not going to stop doing mitigation efforts. We're not going to stop preparing, because this could go on for a very long time. So, of course, we have monsoon season, which, believe it or not, on the onset of this incident, in talking to the team, because of the conditions and how terribly dry and how bad the fire conditions were, there was discussion that this might not be over until monsoon season, and here we are in monsoon season now, and it's still not over. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how bad the fire conditions have been this season as we continue to deal with the fire aspect of this fire. And so going back to the flooding and what we're really looking at, I know I reported to you guys last week about the post-fire flood map that we put together and put on the San Miguel County website, which is co.sanmiguel.nm.us. If you get on there, there's a Calf Canyon Hermits Peak fire and flood link, which you can get into. And we've made that map very accessible for you. And you get on there, you can look at the floodplain. You can look at the debris flow. You can look at the severity, the burn severity maps, to kind of get an idea of those areas that we're really focusing on. But more so, if you live in the floodplain or near the floodplain, you need to get ready. You heard from our prior speaker some of the stuff that you need to look at in terms of getting ready for, but I do urge you to get ready. We can do all the predicting we want, but at the end of the day, we can't really say what Mother Nature is going to do, how much rain we're going to get, where we're going to get it. As you all know that have lived here for several years, sometimes we think we're going to get rain in an area and we get it somewhere else. And so the main thing is that we have to be focused and ready for that. In terms of preparation, I know the city of Las Vegas was out distributing information throughout their community today, and they're going to continue that effort. They've also been doing mitigation work along the bridges and some of their more important infrastructure like the bridges, and they're going to continue to do that work as weather allows, of course. But if you have questions or concerns in reference to that, you could contact Maria Gelvari, who works for the city, and she's very much working hard on that effort as well. And we appreciate that collaboration with the city as well. So with that, the county is doing a lot of the same stuff. I know law enforcement, we were out the last couple of days passing out information and materials to individuals who live in the floodplain or near the floodplain as well, and trying to prepare them. And we will continue to do that as well as time permits. You know, as you heard from the meteorologist, we have several days in which we're going to have to be really looking at flooding or the possibility of flooding. I know we're putting it on our news releases as we get it. Last night we did get some substantial rain, as you heard. With that, there was alerts that went out. I know that a lot of people were calling about the alerts and what that looks like. I can assure you that we have boots on the ground that are monitoring that throughout the day and throughout the night to make sure if flooding does come, that we're out there working to make sure that you are safe. In terms of emergency alert systems, like I talked about, or I've been talking about, we have several different systems. The first being the iPods or the alerts that you get on your phone, which has been very effective for us throughout the fire. Also the rave system, which has been very effective for us throughout the fire. We're going to continue to use those. We have our NOAA, National Weather Service alerts, and our radio alerts as well. So we're working on utilizing all of that different all of those different alerts to try and give you the best heads up that we can. And of course, it's also a lot dependent on you and being ready for what could come, and knowing, having a plan, knowing what you're going to do. If your egress is cut off, don't try and cross any of those swift water or anything that you know, if you have water in front of you, don't try and cross it. Just get back and get to a safety zone, get to your house, wherever it might be safe for you. Make sure that you have necessities for at least 3 to 5 days. Those are all things that, you know, you got to start thinking about since now. That way, when or if it does happen, you're prepared for that. On that note, I can assure you that all of our resources are prepared to go and get you if it does come to that and you do get trapped. We're working with the IMT very closely. We're working with our state and federal partners. We're working with the Guard. We have a multitude of resources out there that are prepared to act on a moment's notice. So just be rest assured that we're doing everything in our power to make sure that we can take care of you. But first and foremost, you got to do everything in your power to take care of yourself and your family. So just keep that in mind. In terms of resources, I know we have set up a pretty extravagant sandbag operation. We have several locations. Now, as you've been hearing from the incident management team over the last several days, we've had some pretty substantial fire in that Pecos corridor, in the upper Pecos River corridor, which has brought concern to all of us in terms of possible flooding in the Pecos River. For that reason, we have also set up a sandbag location in the village of Pecos at the village chambers. So there'll be sandbags available for those people who live in that area as well. As Cabo Lucero Fire Department, San Jeronimo Fire Department, Sapio Rociala Fire Department, La Placita Fire Department, and at the San Miguel County Public Works. And again, those sandbags are available for any of you that need them, and also for the city of Las Vegas. So, you know, just rest assured that we're doing everything we can with the resources that we have and the people that have came in to help us to get that mission completed so you can protect your property as best as you can. I know it's short notice. I know there's a lot to do, but do what you can, and we're doing everything that we can as well. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Chris. Always lots of valuable information. And any links or phone numbers that were mentioned tonight during the presentations have been dropped into the chat. So if you did not catch those, go ahead and look in the chat and those will be accessible. I also wanted to share, I know Wednesday night after the meeting, many folks had asked for the video specific to debris flow that Phoebe spoke on. She was kind enough the next day to do a standalone video that we posted. So yesterday afternoon, it was posted to our Facebook page and again our YouTube page. So I would highly recommend going back and looking at that for any refresher or to share with any friends or family that may be affected. And I want to thank you all for joining us on this Friday evening. I know we're going into a long weekend. We will continue to be producing our daily written updates as well as our operations videos and all of our normal ways of communicating with you folks. We will have another meeting on Monday evening at 6 o'clock here on our Facebook page. And until then, please stay safe over this long weekend.